This March Madness Picks Part 2 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to Cut.com, that's Kutt.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by SGPN subscriber-only March Madness Bankroll Challenge. Free to enter and up to $2,000 in prizes. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/madness. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, NHL, college basketball, and more. Sign up today using promo code SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome, everyone, to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
First half unders, 1-1. Shout out to UVA for making an early exit. And shout out to my Hokies for advancing to the second round of the prestigious NIT College Basketball Championship.
And that concludes the NIT talk for this episode. Joining us on the line to talk all things in studio. I'm used to saying on the line. All things college basketball. You know him, you love him. Colby Dant, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. What's happening, Colby?
Well, I mean, I'm a bit disrespected with that introduction. Not the part of like used to saying on the line, but I'm saying we did give out a little bit of fire. A little bit of fire. Me and the bet detective, and also on this last night's show, I did crowbar in a nice little NIT play of plus 225, South Florida 83, UCF 77. We're done talking about that.
All right, now we're officially done. Virginia comes in. Great start for the March Madness betting commandments. Thou shalt not worship false idols, a.k.a. Tony Bennett. Now 8 and 15 ATS.
8 and 15.
And, of course, last night while we were right after the show, Kramer going, I know UVA is going to win. Colby going, yeah, they bullied me into taking into taking Colorado State. How about the Mountain West?
Well, let me explain myself, Sean, because I feel like you're snorkeling a little bit. Like, Colorado State has been better than Virginia all season.
Yes.
But Virginia has a knack over Tony Bennett's entire era.
Knack of not scoring points?
No, a knack of beating. Like, they beat Florida. Florida is a team that many people are saying is a Final Four team this year.
Why are we still talking about these losers?
Yeah, Virginia just occasionally can do this. They won a national championship on somehow beating teams they should have never beat. So it was logical to say, oh, man, Colorado State's going to have to play in the muck. But I still took Colorado State, though, and I want my street cred, all right?
You tried to Benedict, and we wouldn't let you, Colby. There you go, Benedict Dant. Also, rounding out the TCE crew, we got Moneyline Mac himself, ready to, I don't know, are you like a Boeing airplane pilot here,
I mean,
Mac?
look at this, dude.
I mean, I'm just looking
Got
at
the shades on.
Colorado State minus 2.5. I should have taken
Got some winds
22.
coming in from the northwest.
I should have taken 22 and a fucking half. Get this ACC bullshit out of here. This league sucks. How about the Mountain West? Easy winner. Welcome to the dance.
Yes, Mountain West getting off the schneid here, and of course, as well, Noah B. What's happening, Noah?
What's going on, guys? I have a couple of things to promote, I guess. College baseball.
Okay.
Kramer just handed me off my ticket on Clemson. That's $100 to win $4,000. Shout out to Kramer for getting that for me, picking it up.
He's touting like Cousin Mush at week 9 of the Survivor.
He's already imagining his trip back and the giant. I mean, Cousin Mush walked through multiple things he was going to have to do to come back and get his $1 million. You could already, I should probably get the tax guy, get a phone call now, get on his calendar for how to handle the $1 million.
You know what they say? The first thing to do is to hire a lawyer. That's when you win the lottery. So just a little advice.
18-2 for my Clemson Tigers, and also the second thing that I want to shout out. He's sitting in the corner right now. Brent was our basical Uber taxi driver. Shout out to him. He was
basical is a great word.
Yeah, that's the middle
and
of
I'm
two
with
words.
you. I'm with you. No, he's great. Brent. Hey, he's on TV. Look at him right now. There you go. No, he was fucking very kind.
The man.
Because Uber has been I believe Uber is a bit of a hoax right now. Like they've given me 2 plays recently that I'm gonna fade in a parlay. I told you about this last night. We're gonna take Gonzaga, we're gonna take Kansas, we're gonna parlay that and fade my Uber driver who told me he was gonna fall asleep. So it's much better to ride.
Now Colby,
I thought you were doing all that to fade his picks.
Colby.
Well, he was going to fall asleep, so I can only imagine the way he picks. But
McCullough is out now. When you picked and locked up Kansas last night, he was not officially out. I picked Samford, got some great closing line value with my play. Are you switching your pick?
No, not at all. Because here's what you don't realize is they're not playing the Big 12. They're playing Samford. And Bill Self took Tulsa to the Elite Eight with a guy named Eric Coley and a bunch of scrubs. All right. And they went to the Elite Eight.
Does Bill Self still have that fire in his eye?
He still does, man. If anything, he has it more so because last year he missed it because he had a heart attack.
Sanford and Son,
Wow.
look out, Kansas,
Show just
especially no Kevin McCullough.
Dark turn. The show just took a dark turn.
Why? Bring it up,
He's
Bill
bringing
Self.
up heart issues.
What do you mean?
We're in Vegas. We don't want to, let's knock on some wood.
This is why we should take Kansas. You're on Kansas, right?
Colby, is it weird doing a live show without skull-crushing echo going through the speakers?
Oh, my God.
Is it weird being able to hear yourself and have the audience listen to the show at the same time? Is that a weird experience?
I want to congratulate you guys for making sure that the SGPN product was top-notch, stopping by the bar, that you passed on the way to the fucking hotel, as I saw him as I FaceTimed him from Circa, and then I FaceTimed him 10 minutes later from the fucking hotel. So I see where we sit on your fucking totem pole, all right? And that's okay. I had fun.
Colby, sometimes, as a parent, what I've learned is sometimes you have to let your children make mistakes so they can grow together.
Like I said live, you weren't there to catch it. I go, does Pat Sajak, is he the guy on camera 1? No, he's not. All right?
Sajak,
I'm the fucking talent, and I am not in charge of camera 1.
Charge. I'm trying to give your normal experience for the TCE listeners tuning in. They might not be used to hearing audio
bullshit.
without crazy mind-crushing.
Someone
echo.
told me check the reverb. I was like, yo, fuck the reverb. All right, is that a D3 school? Right? I do not give a shit about the reverb.
It was probably not smart. I was trapped in the corner of our show, so I couldn't really escape and go check on the computer and the camera. Otherwise, I would have. But yeah, that was a tough position for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was all right. Don't everybody's overreacting.
Yeah, well,
The show's fun.
Here's what I would
Rub
say.
some dirt on it.
Colby, what were the guys?
I felt worse than Filipowski. I needed to be carried out of there.
What were the guys talking about behind our camera that picked up more than we did?
I think he was talking about eating a girl's ass, but I'm not 100% sure. It seemed like that. And I didn't know that. Thankfully, because the camera phone was set up.
Technically first base in Vegas.
The audience alerted us to that. Obviously, I couldn't hear that conversation, but yeah.
I think it's the intentional walk of Vegas.
So you have some real tastemakers in your crowd. Very cultured group.
They don't even have to throw the 4 pitches anymore. They can just make a signal and right to the ass.
They don't even waste time. All right. Speaking of that, hey, cut.com. Imagine you're getting down on 32 first half unders. Do you want to be laying minus 110 on 32 bets? That's 3.2 units. That eats up into your ROI. Get some of these first half bets listed on Cut. I know our audience is all on the first half unders, but there's other users out there on Cut who may not know the value and may want to take first half overs. I saw a couple Benedicts on X talking about how they were going to get down on first half overs. Great opportunity to head over to Cut. Not only do you get the 10% deposit bonus when you use the promo code SGPN, but you can come up with your own custom bets. Even set your own lines for these first half over-unders. Maybe there's some square people out there who don't realize you're shaving a half point here or there. Lots of opportunity, especially if you're going to be laying down a ton of action. The reduced juice of a betting exchange, a head-to-head, a ultimate put-your-money-where-your-mouth platform like Cut is, really pays dividends. KUTT.com, promo code SGPN. Of course, Merch Madness alive and well. I'm rocking the SGP camo hat. Love this thing. Great for, well, I don't actually use it to any sort of camouflage.
Out in the woods.
Yeah, I'm not a deer hunter, but if I, well, and the deers would probably be attracted to the sweet snapback hat.
You never know when you're going to have to hunt deer.
Exactly. I'm ready to go. I might have to hunt for a meal here out in Las Vegas. Promo code Madness, 15% off everything, and get in on our subscriber-only March Madness contest, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/madness. Every show you're subscribed to on SGPN, you get extra credits for the Bankroll Challenge. $1,000 winner take all, $2,000 if you're a Patreon member. And of course, congrats to Juan Sanchez, last week's Patreon Pick'em winner. He won a DGen University prize pack. This week's prize, $100 Circa ticket. Any future you want, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Kramer, let's get to it.
All right, let's talk about some college basketball. I did for support. I don't have a support animal, but I do have a support stack of March Madness tickets. We did make a trip down to the Circa to get some stuff in. I got a lot of bets in. Did not get the first half unders in yet. They per Jeff Benson, they're opening tomorrow morning. Did get to watch some of my digital horse run a race while I was in the sports book, so it was a good time. So
it's a very funny photo if you want to look it up on Kramer's X account. There's just a wall of literally the biggest sportsbook screens in the world, and Ryan's just huddled over a laptop watching his digital horses run.
I mean, first of all,
wait, so you did digital horses over our sound quality at this fine establishment?
No, the digital horses were this morning. They were this morning, and yes, I probably right now I think I would choose the digital horses over the three.
That's fair, because I was still undefeated.
Fair.
I've sunk a lot of money into this, Colby. A lot. I mean, I guess you could say I've sunk a lot of money into both things. All right, let's talk some college basketball. March Madness. I think there must be some sort of deal with the Big Ten. We gotta tee off that we gotta start each morning with a nice Big Ten matchup.
Just a couple of duds.
Yeah.
The 9 seed, 9:15 a.m. on the West Coast, Brooklyn, New York. We got Northwestern taking on Florida Atlantic. Boca to New York. That feels like a backwards migration. -2.5 for Florida Atlantic. -155 on the money line. Northwestern +130. 142 is the total. 67 first half under. If you missed the start of the show, they're 1-1. And if you're to the people who reached out to me today to ask me what this March Madness system that they've heard about is. You're just telling me you don't listen to the show. If you ask me what the system is, you're telling me you don't listen to the show. That's not very nice. Northwestern, Florida Atlantic. This is probably one of the better matchups between two premier guards in March. Florida Atlantic returns a lot of the same guys that we saw last year make the Sweet 16, but this Northwestern team's pretty good, and I think Sean's going to talk about Boo Booey, but this feels like the kind of morning game where we can have some moments to kickstart Friday. Colby?
I would agree with that. I mean, I think this game has potential to be like the best game potentially of the whole day. And Florida Atlantic, I know we've talked a lot of trash. It doesn't make sense, logical sense that they would be ranked an 8 seed, but at the same time, they are a good team, and they do return a ton of production that were on that team a year ago. Whether it's John L. Davis, who I think is a very, very good college basketball player that will probably be playing pro somewhere, and then you have Ivan Drago, their center, who is a very decent player as well. Elijah Martin still there, Witherspoon, Greeley. Like, those guys are all key players that were on that team a year ago. I I did think they got misseeded. And that's not a diss to FAU. I just feel like I don't understand how they were higher ranked this year than last year, considering they were in a lesser conference and they ran the table pretty much. But I'm actually going to take FAU here. Like, Northwestern's been a great story. I do question the Big Ten. I don't know how good the Big Ten is. So I do think Chris Collins is doing an unbelievable job at Northwestern. And I think he's like, this is like one of the best coaching jobs in the country. It's not being talked about enough. But I just wonder, is it because the Big Ten is down that you're getting all these wins? And for that and the experience factor, I'm on Ivan Drago and FAU. I think if you can change, I can change. Everybody can change. And FAU could win the national championship this year. So I will lay the 2.5 with the
I'll
Owls.
take that action over on cut.
You realize Rocky wasn't the Russian, right?
Rocky also lost that first fight there.
What happened to Apollo Creed?
He died.
He died.
Well, in the movie, from Ivan Drago, and in real life. Rest in peace, by the way.
Colby still swore
Action
he was on our flight.
We had Eli Manning on our flight out here. Did you talk about that?
That was an all-time great moment. Colby just came up to me real quiet. He goes, that's Carl Weathers. I recognize that voice everywhere.
I said, that's Carl Weathers, and he'll kick your ass.
I recognize that voice anywhere, and I turn and just see a random black guy waiting for his flight.
He kind of looked like Carl Weathers. Man.
He did not look like Carl Weathers.
Bad mistake.
I have on my notes, Boo Booey is a bad man, and I can see myself already cracking some cocktails, 9:15 West Coast time, just saying, Boo Booey.
Are you going to say that at the bar? I'll take a Boo Booey.
Yeah, a little Boo
See
Booey.
what they concoct.
It does sound like a drink you would have in college. Like, yeah, I'll take a Whiskey Rocks and 2 Boo Booeys for the ladies. I mean, he's amazing. He really elevates their play. Northwestern, their weakness in this matchup is the rebounding, but I think they can overcome it with their shooting. This should be a really close game. So it's going to be, if it's a close game, I'm going to take the 2.5 points, and I'm going to take the team that's noticeably better behind the arc and from the free throw line, because all I think it's going to take, the difference in this game is going to be a couple free throws and 1 or 2 3-pointers. I think Northwestern has that edge, and they don't turn the ball over. So these stats that are right on the margin there, turnover percentage, only 7th in the nation offensively, 7th best. So I think Northwestern plays a clean game, hits their threes, hits their free throws, and they get the probably the outright win, but I'm taking the points.
I just wonder who's going to guard Ivan Drago, because, I don't see any Balboas on this front court here.
Funny story about Ivan Drago that Colby has mentioned. Like, Vladimir Golden was a Russian wrestler growing up, and he outgrew the sport of wrestling into becoming a center in college basketball.
That's called BDE.
But wait, now was it?
It's called steroids.
Was it real wrestling or real wrestling? No, which wrestling was it?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Look, you're thinking steroids here. That was Rocky IV. I understand your connection there, but I've watched a lot of tape on Russian culture. They happen to have a nice agreement with bears.
And Huskies, right?
They can be friends with lots of grizzly bears or brown bears. That just.
As a guy who worked on a clip show for 5 years, there's so many fucked up shit happened in Russia. A lot of dash cam videos, a lot of them just lighting themselves on fire, drunk off vodka. But yes, Colby is right. They will just fuck around with some
I saw one
bears.
in a cab. They got a fucking.
It's like a Russian prank of just like having a bear around. You know how we. What was that? You know how we had that phase where you would ice your friends, where you just pull out a Smirnoff? Russian people do that with like these massive bears, where they're just like, I bring my bear over.
Wait, the icing was a phase? My friends and I still do that.
I mean, it's an age phase. I think.
Yeah.
I think you have. Although I will tell a fun Vegas
I don't know
story.
where you can get.
It's like Lincoln Logs. It goes away.
An ex-girlfriend of mine had an uncle that he, long story short, he won a scratch-off lottery ticket, took that money, parlayed it into a condo in Vegas, where he then proceeded to have the name Diamond Jim because of his status at the casino. He then moved back within about a year and a half because he went broke. But Diamond Jim
for that year, God, they
Whoa.
should do a documentary on Diamond Jim for 1 year.
Well, he was a
That's
50.
a hell of a movie title.
He's a 50-year-old man that still ices people. That was the point of the story. So, if you want to be like Diamond Jim, you never have to stop icing people. Mac, what are you doing in this game?
I'll be drinking Boo Booies with Sean on Friday morning. So let's go.
That's got to be rum. I feel like that's rum and
It's an island drink.
Yeah, it's got to
I
have.
feel like
I
it's a
don't know.
Halloween special, though.
I think everybody thinks FAU's is going to turn it on. They're not the same team as last year. Last year, they were a top 40 team in offense and defense. They're outside the top 100 in defense this year.
You know who's not the same
Defense
team
is
last
the big
year?
difference.
Is Northwestern.
Northwestern always wins in the tournament. They
always-
overachieve.
They always
two
get
wins
one.
in their history. How
yeah,
could you
those
say
are,
that?
Those are the last two times
I'm
they've been
sorry,
in the tournament.
But you
Those are
can't
the-
say they always win.
UCLA
They have
murdered
two
them.
wins in their history of 150 years of hoops.
Shrunk trend.
Chris Collins is 4-0 ATS in the tournament. That's their code.
Doesn't mean they win. They cover.
They won the 2 first-round matchups under Chris Collins. They're going to beat FAU.
Let's go.
Get this Boca Raton shit out of here. Overrated. One-hit wonder.
This guy acts like they're got Bill Walton on the team and 74 Bruins.
I'm completely rebuttaling this. Northwestern's 5-5 against
Rebuttaling.
against Ken Pop top 50 teams here. All 5 of their wins were in the friendly confines of Welsh Ryan Arena. Colby, how many times have I mentioned this arena and how good of a home court advantage it is?
At the car-wash. See
Yeah.
you at the car-wash.
So they're 0-5 straight up against top 50 teams away from home. On the flip side, FAU 4-0 against high major competition, all on neutral floors in the non-conference. All 4 of those squads fall inside of Ken Palm's top 7.
There's only one team that spent every Saturday getting a flying squirrel.
Give me the Owls.
That is why
Kramer,
you
what are
wanna
you doing?
take the Owls.
We got all these experts. You're fiddling with your diving tanks. You're checking on your PSIs. It's just another game where the pace is going to dictate. And generally, a team that's been there before, maybe they got there last year. Maybe they won a game last year, and maybe they play with a deliberately slow pace. I'm always going to take the slow-paced team that knows what they want to do. And I think this whole concept that FAU coasted through the regular season and they're just going to turn it on, Mac used the wise words. I am on Northwestern here, surprisingly.
What happens if you won 4 games last
this-
tournament and you lost on a buzzer beater, though?
What do you mean?
Like
what does that have to
Northwestern
do with
won
anything?
1, and then FAU won 4.
Let's explain that. FAU won more in
What are you
1
talking
year
about?
than Northwestern's
All right,
130
you know
year
what?
In their
history.
entire program history.
Turn off both their mics. What are you talking about? You're both being nonsensical.
Kramer, Colgate.
For an entire chat, for a whole existence of how sharp you are.
Nope.
You two
Nobody's-
idiots sound.
What's
Nobody's
that?
mentioned
what,
the
what are
health
you questioning?
issues.
I'll answer anything you throw at me right now. What do you got?
Oh, that you two sound like idiots arguing.
How do I
about
sound like an idiot? FAU's got more success. Their roster has won more games than Northwestern's won in 120 years of hoops.
Also, Northwestern has health issues. The Robin to Boo Booey's Batman is out for the year, Ty Berry. And also Matt Nicholson, their big man, who's covering Vlad Golden.
And might I add that he's been shitting on the Big Ten the entire time.
Yeah, come on. Come on,
Makes
Prater.
very logical
Fade the
sense.
Big Ten. I'm the Big Ten guy. Fade
And,
the Big Ten.
I thought we paid attention to teams that had tournament, success, that are veterans. We've said this before over and over and over this season. Teams, especially since I would say COVID, at least since 2018, teams with experience win in March, and they're the far more experienced team.
Sure, but you came into this suggesting that they weren't the team they were last year. And so, for that reason, I'll take Northwestern. I'll take the toss-up. I'll take the good matchup.
Let's go.
And yeah, I'm going to back Boo Booey over John L. Davis in this matchup.
You're gonna lose.
Boo Booey all day.
You're gonna
Let's
lose.
go.
Round of drinks on me if I lose this.
Colgate.
You're gonna be buying.
Let's go.
Like Patino.
Go.
Colgate, well, Patino never buys, please. Colgate, Memphis, Tennessee, a little Patriot League action. Sean said this is not Lehigh.
Yes.
9:40 a.m. on the West Coast. In the West region, Baylor, the 3 seed. Baylor laying 14 here. Minus 1,100 on the money line. Colgate plus 700. 139 is the total. First half unders, if you're just turning in 66 for this game. I liked all 3 14 seeds yesterday. But I'm just sitting on my fucking lawn chair on a boat that I own, while this hired help is scrubbing barnacles off my fucking boat with their scuba gear.
What are we talking about here? Get personal.
Everyone that's not Mac in this room. And Sean. Team Ryan for the win. Baylor, although I will say this is maybe a 14 seed I'm not going to like.
Sean, I warned you about this in a previous show prior to March. Didn't I not? About Team Ryan?
Oh, yeah. They gang up together.
Colgate, and we'll go down a Noah path here. Colgate versus the Ken Palm Top 200. Trash. Their only wins versus Brown by 2 points, who's 185, and Weber State 154 by 2 points.
When the 14 seed has a Ken Palm ranking of 125 or worse, the 3 seed is 14-1 straight up, 10-5 ATS. Colgate's 145. This Colgate team sucks. And I know they kicked Lehigh's ass. Thank you, everyone.
Personal.
Thank you, everyone, for reminding me. I was there in my jersey.
I was on Lehigh, too. That was brutal.
I was there wearing my jersey, watching them get the ever-living shit kicked out of them. That doesn't make Colgate good, all right? Don't confuse that with Colgate being a good team. You compare this to previous Colgate teams that also got their ass kicked in the tournament, and this one doesn't even stand up. If you had a Colgate-on-Colgate tournament, which no one would watch because Colgate sucks, this Colgate team would get their ass kicked. 3 seeds, 16-10 ATS when favored by more than 12.5 points. Colgate's just going to get their shit pushed in. So, yeah, give me Baylor all day by a wide margin.
Well, luckily, they're not playing Syracuse because they almost beat Syracuse in that filthy Carrier Dome. But I'm with you. Athleticism is just on a different planet in this matchup. They did favors. The committee did favors to Baylor and Duke in these scheduling spots. And, yeah, I mean, I like Keegan Records. I like Colgate's program. I'm not going to bash it like Sean did. All right? I was on Lehigh, and I got stupid. Colgate owns that conference, and I apologize to my clientele. But Baylor is just – they're peaking at the right time. You got to remember, Baylor went out and used the portal, brought in two or three guys that I think have been essential on this team. And you got to learn the rhythm. That's the new thing in college basketball. 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, we probably really didn't have to key in on learning the rhythm of your roster. And
Colby's a master of the rhythm method.
Feel the rhythm. Feel the rhythm.
Get on up. It's bobsled time.
There we go.
That's actually a movie.
Cool Runnings. I know what you were talking about.
It's actually a movie that I knew.
How you've seen Cool Runnings, but not
I don't
Dumb and
fucking
Dumber.
know.
Fucking, can we need to talk about that. No, but Baylor's they're just too athletic. Langston Love, game time decision. If I'm Scott Drew, I wouldn't even play him. I think you're going to handle business.
Langston Love does sound like an adult film star. Like starring Jenna Jameson and Langston Love.
No, it would be Longston Love.
Yeah.
I think you.
You're on Baylor.
I think you're right. Yeah, Baylor all day. I think they're going to win by 20.
Cocaine Bears with a little key bump here to get the party started. Mac, what do you like?
Well, what league is Baylor in? They're in the Big 12, so we lay it. But I do think it'll be like last year against Santa Barbara. I think they struggle early because they are a little soft. They break it open late with some jump shots. They win by 18.
See, I think Santa Barbara is way more athletic than Colgate is.
I do too, but the culture of Colgate can keep it somewhat close, and then the whites just peter out.
Noah?
I'll keep this one quick. Baylor has a backcourt that is light years better. The Bears also have the better rebounding team here, and the Baylor's better at the charity stripe, Sean. So this is going to be a rout. I like his Ken Palm trend as well. So let's go. Baylor.
Let's go. Kramer?
Yeah, like I said, I like all the other 14 seeds. This is not one of them. And I think just in general, like Colby kind of touched on it, this could be one of those, really, one team's, we'll call it the twitchiness, right? A little bit more twitchiness on the Baylor side of the ball. We'll lay the big number here. I don't think Colgate's going to keep this close. Although, strange nugget, the Colgate did beat Vermont. That's their only tournament team win.
But we'll get to it. But I think this Vermont team is also a bit fraudulent.
I agree.
Hot take.
Well, I mean, compared to other
that's why I mentioned that. I said Duke and Baylor have been gifted.
Yes, good point.
Vermont and Colgate is who I'm referring to, in case anyone's not paying attention. And really, that has nothing to do with, like, Vermont and Colgate do keep great programs.
Our system.
They got horrible draws. They should have got Big Ten draws. To me, it was the committee being very kind to Baylor and Duke.
Our system lost more than ever this year. So trust us on this.
Yeah.
The system of letting UVA in the tournament. Was that the system you're referring to? 10:45 a.m. on the West Coast. We're heading out to Spokane, Washington, where we've driven through before. I think we stopped at a train car diner.
Damn, that's crazy because I was actually talking about that diner tonight.
If I recall, UAB and San Diego State are in town for a 12-5 matchup in the East. Pretty confusing that you play East regional games in Spokane, Washington. San Diego State laying 7 this year. Remember, Sean, they were a 5 seed last year, and they made it all the way to the championship, and then Decker's heart was broken.
Oh, poor Decker.
San Diego State laying 7, minus 280 on the money line. The Dragons, have they allowed them to bring the Dragon onto the court yet? Because that would alter my handicap here for Birmingham. Plus 225 on the money line, 139 the total. First half under 65. Our gals were the first adopted collegiate team of this podcast. And it's always hard for me to look a different way. We have I feel like I can't remember a year because this is something I always notice, but the pace difference of these games. It seems like one after another we're talking about a team, UAB, that wants to play fast, and San Diego State that wants to do the opposite. So, Colby, what are we doing here?
I think you have to ride UAB. They can match them athletically. Now, San Diego State is a much better defensive team, but do I remind you that San Diego State has a knack. They're kind of like UVA, where they can't score. They play elite defense. You look at last year's first round, they barely got by Charleston. The previous 4 first rounds, they had lost all of them, like in close games for the most part, with the exception of the Syracuse game in 21. This is a team that when you step outside of the Mountain West is which you want to talk about a Mountain West team to me that benefits from knowing their opponent. It's San Diego State. San Diego State is one, yes, they're a great team. They went to the national championship a year ago. They deserve that credit. But they're a team that, to me, when you can match them athletically, it doesn't matter who you are. It's going to be a close game. San Diego State they want to bring you into a close game.
7's a lot for this San Diego State team.
That's what I'm saying. They want to bring you into a close game. They might win this game by 1, by 2, but I certainly feel very good about UAB and Andy Kennedy, who I think is a very good coach. And I've said this all year long and in previous years. UAB, when the spotlight's on them, they always show up. They always show up. And to me, that when you can match them athletically, I think they can stay within this number. San Diego State might win this game. I don't think it's a crazy play to take that 225 on UAB money line, especially considering how many close games San Diego State won last year.
Yeah, this does feel like a one-possession game. UAB very good at offensive rebounding percentage, 22nd in the nation, a little bit better at the free throw line. But, yeah, I mean, San Diego State to win by 7 against this quality UAB team. I guess the concern is UAB got in because they won the American, and they got matched up against a Temple team that may or may not be intentionally
UAB
losing the game.
Guys, though, you watch it. Gaines, the guard, is a ball player. Vasquez is a ball player. The forward, Lindenborg, is a fucking stud, man. It's not like they lack talent. That's what I'm saying. Like, the AAC's been undervalued. Clearly, with this line, in my opinion, and with some of the other judgment that I've seen, with the selection committee, I think UAB is a very good team. How about this? Houston went to the Big 12, won the Big 12. They were in the AAC last year.
Yeah.
UAB is a very good team, and they've been disrespected for a while.
I'm with you. 7 is just too much for San Diego State. Even though I like this San Diego State team, I'll be rooting for our gals to a certain degree. But, it's a lot. Kramer, what are you doing?
And I'm aware UAB was in the CUSA, but they jumped to the AACs. My point is night in, night out, going through it, it's a better conference than public perception.
I guess the one thing I would point out, while they do play a lot of juniors and elder statesmen, they don't have a ton of experience. And so when you look at the experience metric KenPom uses, San Diego State looks to have a major advantage there. And a lot of that is what you just threw in my face with Florida Atlantic in terms of all this experience this team comes with. So, like I said, first adopted team of this program, understanding that it's going to be a disgusting game. But, if there is a way that San Diego State rolls, I think they're able to exploit the inside and their size advantage maybe.
Can I bring up the fact that last season's magical run, if you took away the Yukon game where they lost by 17, even though we know that was closer, they had that down to 5 or 6 at the 6-minute mark. 6 4 of their 5 wins before the national championship were by 7 points or by all less than 7 points.
That's
so,
a good nugget.
Yeah.
So they're due.
So,
Yeah.
Kramer, I'm with you. I'm not benedicting on our angle of experience in the Final Four. San Diego State is 12-0 straight up and 10-2 against the spread against teams outside of Ken Palm's top 100 this season. I think the Aztecs have the best player on the floor in Jaden Ledee, and San Diego State has the much better defense. Give me the Aztecs.
Let's go, Mac.
I don't care what Ken Palm says. San Diego State gives me Virginia vibes. They overachieved last year.
No, they're very similar.
They
bring
bounce.
you into the muck.
Yes.
They bring you into the muck, and they want to win by 2. That's why it's a dumb bet to ever lay points in San Diego State. They don't blow it. Their model is not to blow you out by 30. Their model is to win by 4 and make you suffer and shoot a horrible percentage all game.
I'm going to be rooting for Colby to be laying down the greatest mixed track of him saying bad takes on college basketball. We're on the opposite side of a lot of stuff, Colby. Matt, continue your point on why I'm wrong.
Well, and last year, UAB was the hype team in Conference USA. Florida Atlantic goes on the run. It's the year after the year. UAB, Andy Kennedy, he's been there, done that. Last time he went on the run, 2012, Ole Miss, upset 12-5 over Wisconsin. This guy can coach. This guy knows how to win in March. I don't trust San Diego State this year. I think they were overseeded based off of what they did last year. The rest of the Mountain West underseeded. Give me UAB outright.
It fits Colby's narrative, so Colby's not going to press Mac, but Mac is a very, very, very big Andy Kennedy guy.
All right.
So.
But San Diego State losing
handicapper.
Kashad Johnson to Arizona was a gigantic blow. He was a
Jaden Ledee might be better.
Last point.
not depth wise.
UAB 5-0 ATS on neutral court. Kramer?
All right, I'm still laying the points because I don't just send my child off for adoption because the tide's turned a little bit. Our gal, San
Easy
Diego
to see a
State,
tide turn.
roll -7. Western Kentucky, the 15 seed in the South, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. We're heading to Indy, a place that claims basketball is super important to them. They're hosting Marquette, the 2 seed out of the South. So we got a little Western Kentucky Marquette matchup, which is interestingly small spread, 14.5, -1450. That's pretty interesting there. The spread and the money line kind of have some symmetry. Western Kentucky plus 850, 158.5 is the total. 76 first half under. You see how much pace potentially they expect to be in this game with that first half total. I've been told that Tyler Kolek is playing. Is that accurate statement?
I believe so. I think that's going to be factual.
Which matters for Marquette.
I don't think he's going to be 100%. The oblique injuries are usually pretty tricky.
From my experience, oblique injuries are the worst. Usually it keeps me off the court for 1 to 2 weeks.
1 to 5 years?
Or 1 to 5 years. Also, Sean, I wanted to bring this up because I know you're a big Purdue guy, but I wanted to make sure that you understood that the head coach of Western Kentucky is a Matt Painter disciple.
Oh, okay.
Who possesses a 58-34 ATS record in the last 3 years.
Love that. And I'll say this, Hilltopper's fastest adjusted tempo in all of basketball, so I don't think they're going to be shocked by Marquette's tempo. And if you're looking for an upset here, Western Kentucky, 5 out of the 7 15 seeds had a Ken Pom ranking of 130 or better, includes Princeton last year in 2023. Western Kentucky just outside that 130 at 132. So maybe not the outright victory, but I think because styles make fights, Western Kentucky can hang with the pace. If we're getting Kolek in there. Now, I know they haven't really played a team as good as Marquette this season, but I'm still going to take Western Kentucky in the points. I don't know how live of a dog they are, but I think they're going to be able to hang around. Colby, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, Western Kentucky, first off, I do think we should highlight that Kolek hasn't played in a couple of weeks because even though we know he's a stud, and he is a stud, he's one of the better players in college basketball, I do believe there's a rhythm that's lost to that. You know what I mean? Like, you just quickly throw him in, and then you add in the fact that, to me, the tops, Steve Lutz has done a great job in year one. He's familiar with Marquette. He was at Creighton as an assistant, and you don't have to look that far back. I mean, this Western Kentucky program has been a winning program for a long time, and that I buy into the culture that they sell there, and I just think they can stay within that number. It doesn't mean that I think they're going to win outright, but to me, they're talented enough to stay within that number, especially knowing Kolek comes back. And here's another thing: is do we even know if Kolek is going to get major minutes? Like, what if he comes? Like, there's a little bit of an unknown here. Like, he hasn't played in forever. You show up. What if you struggle a tiny bit? Then your best player is still out against the Western Kentucky team that I think is undervalued, and it's been undervalued all year, really. I think that Steve Lutz has done a great job. I was on them to win the CUSA, and I thought it was ridiculous that their odds that they had, considering they're this good of a program, and this guy's a winning coach, and you're quickly seeing what he can do. This is his first year. 22-11 at Western Kentucky is a great first season, and they spend money. Like, this is a group of 5 that actually spends money on their roster. I will take Western Kentucky to cover this number.
Noah?
This one was a tough one for me to pick. Without a 100% healthy Kolek, I feel like this spread is just a tad bit wide, and the cocktail napkin agrees with me as the tops plus 12.5 here. I think the Golden Eagles can force their fair share of turnovers and win this game, but it's tough to lay this many points without their starting point guard, and they've struggled down the stretch without him. I'll take the tops.
Mac?
This is going to be the 2:15 game that comes down the wire. What other 2 seed? Arizona, Iowa State. I think Marquette's the most vulnerable.
Yes.
And I know everybody wants to say, oh, they're getting Kolek back and they're going to fucking roll. How many times did we see a guy, they try to ease him in, and it takes a game? Yeah. This is the game where they're going to struggle, and I think Western Kentucky's live. I really do.
I do too. And
Florida gets Marquette in round 2.
I mean, take a look at this. I mean, they beat UCLA just by 2 points at the beginning of the year. St. Thomas by 5 in the Summit League.
Yep.
I think, without Tyler Kolek or, with him healthy, it's still a big question mark. How healthy is he, and how many minutes will he get? And meanwhile, you have the tops, like I said, who we knew this last year and the years prior. Rick Stansbury was failing with a roster that was super talented, way more talented than your normal group of 5. Or mid-major, whatever you want to say. I know it's group of 5 is a football term. But in mid-major form, Western Kentucky spends, and they have more talent than a lot of teams.
And Shaka. That's a big favorite.
Yeah,
Texas,
Shaka and
Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
314.
I was
Kramer, what are you doing?
I was digging up some old notes from last year when I was doing the prep, and Shaka as a favorite is a massive fade job. So
yes, 100%.
Taking a guy who we love to fade, who has a bad historical ATS record as a big favorite, combining that with a coach who has an incredible record as a head coach. Again, 58-34. That's 3 seasons.
And we don't highlight it. Maybe I didn't talk about that enough. This is year 1. So as the year progresses, they understand his picture of what he wants to do offensively, what he wants to do defensively. If you're quoting stats from November, December, January, I find a lot of those ones useless because you're basically implementing your style of what you want.
3 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 2 with Corpus Christi, and now this year with Western Kentucky.
I'm taking the points, but I will say, when you have 2 teams that like to play fast and a spread that's only 14.5, it can pretty quickly stretch it out. But I am on the Hilltoppers or the Toppers or whatever.
Go Tops! Go Tops!
Whatever the
Tops.
hipsters are calling them these days. Stetson.
When are we profiling the bottoms, Ryan?
What do you mean? That's
Well, if you have tops, you need bottoms.
Tonight, after the lights go off. Stetson, Connecticut, 1:16 matchup, 11:45 a.m. in Brooklyn, New York. Home game for Yukon. As Hurley mentioned, they don't even have to get on a plane. They're just going to ride a bus around. It does sound fun. Connecticut laying 26.5, minus 8,000 on the money line. I think Fezzik priced this at minus 9,600 if you're curious.
Value.
Stetson plus 2,200. 145.5 is the total. 71 first half under. I don't think we need to spend much time on this one.
Nope.
Stetson is so 7, 10 or 10 seed playing games this year new. Also new, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically the top overall seed gets the play-in 16s because they're bad. You want to force them to play an extra game. Stetson is so bad that they said, we don't need any of that. Stetson, you got Yukon in the first game. I know that Stetson has a little bit of size, but this just seems like one of those situations. Sean and I played in a rec league in North Hollywood that had a lot of people play in rec leagues. They have levels, and let's say a ladder system. So everyone's competitive. we played in a free, like no rules kind of thing, and there were guys there that were coaching, like they had scouted teams. And I feel like this game could look
on Justin Decker.
Not that we were ever
5'7" Justin Decker.
Not that
getting
we were
dunked on.
Not that we were ever as good as Stetson, but the teams we were playing were pretty good.
I also got dunked on.
It was a fun league. I mean, I think we mostly got our ass kicked. I did have a game where I got hot in the first half and maybe hit like 5 3-pointers.
We did have a couple of moments when we were randomly competitive. That may or may not have been the one where my dad filled in and tried to play in dress shoes and got yelled at by the ref.
Although we did play with the Lutz in that league. So.
Yes. For me, this is pretty simple. I mean, Stetson barely eked out a victory over Austin P. Connecticut, #1 offense in offensive efficiency. Stetson, 342nd in defensive efficiency. And this trend says it all. If the number one seed is 14-5 ATS. If the team is outside of Ken Palm's 200, Stetson's 218. So this is a grab a drink game. Make sure your food situation, change out your dip cup. This is one of those games.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term you want to do that. Now, the Bet Detective, we dropped a show earlier today. Shout out to the great CJ Sullivan. Subscribe to the Bottom Line Bombs.
He's on the case?
No, he thinks the first half, Stetson can cover this thing. He said you jump in the first half.
Ooh, okay.
You take Yukon for the game. You take both. You win all of them. So,
get a little cute.
I kind of buy into it. I'd like Stetson's not that. I will say this about Stetson. I think they're better than the traditional 16. Now, unfortunately, Yukon's better than the traditional 1. So, I'm with you, fading Yukon and the points for the game, but I got to give the Bet Detective a shout out for the strong
ass offer.
Yes, the strong ass offer in the first half.
Mac, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm on the points. Everybody remembers Yukon last year. They flew under the radar. The target is square on their fucking back this year. They've talked about it's nothing if we don't go get 2. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. They flew under the radar last year. You look at Stetson too. They almost beat Cincinnati. They beat UCF. It got away from them late against Houston. Give me the points.
I like your theory as a big picture. I don't know if it applies to Stetson. You said they have a target on their back. What kind of gun does Stetson have? Are they sitting there with a little pea shooter?
Hey, Ray Finkel from Stetson University.
James Blackman, 43 points in the title game.
Well, that was against Austin P. Kind of different.
Don't shit on Austin P.
He used to work for Austin P.
That's his program.
Maybe I'm angry because I had Austin P plus 950 as a future. Noah?
Yeah, I was with you on the Govs plus 950 there too.
Sounds like a good price.
I respect the Bet Detective. However, I view this game a little bit differently than him. I think Stetson slips through the back door. I think UConn's going to take this game a little bit less seriously. Stetson has performed really well over good competition so far.
They're better than a normal 16.
They are.
They are. It's just they got UConn.
So
man.
the
money line?
The one comparable opponent to UConn, Houston, they got drilled by them. However, they beat UCF and they covered this number against Cincinnati. Those are 2 other high major programs that did get bumped up into the Big 12. And they competed, right, Max? So I think UConn plays with their food a little bit here, and I think the Hatters cover.
I mean, I do. Like, everyone's talking about how UConn's pissed about, or UConn fans are pissed about their region, and I agree.
How can you be pissed about this region? Brooklyn, Boston, and then you go to
I'm talking
Phoenix.
about the teams in the region. Teams in the region. But I'm saying, I even think they could stretch their argument to get Stetson in the first round because they should be a 15. They should be a 15.
So in my shallow prep where I just look at the team's colors, I did come across some interesting nuggets about what Coach, and I'm blanking on his name, is it Donnie? Donnie Jones. He likes to play some unique zone defenses that maybe UConn hasn't seen all year. And maybe that gives them a little bit of an edge. And maybe this is a great stage for some of that stuff to come roll out. So we all know the number converges to Ken Palm. He likes this at 23. My number's at 22.8. I'll take the point, Sean.
What?
Little head fake.
Let's go, baby.
11-6 matchup in
You're
Memphis.
just copying Mac.
What do you mean?
It's a Ryan thing.
Stetson money line. Let's go. Purdue was number one overall last year. They fucking went
That's
down.
true.
Right
Were
now?
They weren't number one
Purdue.
overall.
Yeah, they were.
Purdue number one overall? No, I don't think so.
I think they were.
Yes,
I thought they were the fourth number one.
All right. Anyway, 22-1.
He's always sticking up. I don't think they're. I mean, they weren't fourth.
They were
They
number
were
one.
certainly not fourth. They were one
number
or two.
one overall.
They were one or two.
We're gonna pause. I'm gonna stop the show just to explain for the young people out there what just happened.
Alabama was number one overall.
What just happened right now
That
is
was it.
Number two.
see, it's still happening. This time is never coming back. The time someone put it in like a toilet, hit the flush, and it's like going. You're watching it go down. It's eventually going to go down, but it's
Shot
still
clock
happening.
violation.
New Mexico, Clemson, 11-6 matchup in the West region. Memphis, Tennessee probably gives Clemson a slight edge, although I don't know how big that matters. 12-10 on the West Coast. New Mexico, the Lobos, -2. Wow. -135 on the money line. Clemson +115. 151.5 is the total. 72.5 first half under. Colby, we love the Mountain West. We love this New Mexico team. This might feel like the Mountain West team we now need to fade with what the number has done. And they also, if we're going to be Mountain West guys and say they're major conference, we gotta abide by the commandment and say we're going to fade a major conference winner. So what are we doing with New Mexico, Colby?
I like what you're doing there. I do. The problem is they're playing Clemson, who's more concerned about a lawsuit against the ACC right now. And, I mean, do I need to look back? Clemson, Brad Brownell.
How's he
and
doing?
Clemson, I'd say 2011, they made it to the second round. 18, they did all right. That was like their golden year. But for the most part, since 1998, they lose in the first round. Actually, 5 out of those 7 times they made the NCAA tournament, they lose in the first round because Clemson's a football school. They put football first. They don't pay through the church, as far as I know, in basketball. And as much as I like them, P.J. Hall, Joe Girard, all those guys that are good college basketball players, they do lack athleticism. New Mexico, coached by Rick Pitino's son, Richard Pitino.
Oh, see it.
What do they got? They went out and got athleticism, whether it was JT Toppin. Look at that NBA pedigree, whether it's Toppin, whether it's Jamal Mashburn Jr., whether it's Jalen House, the son of Eddie House, who scored 62 points in a game at Arizona State.
Ain't no stopping.
Yeah. I just can't fade New Mexico right now. New Mexico's playing elite basketball. The ACC's been trash all year. We saw it tonight with Virginia. And I think New Mexico is just they have guards. When I think about the strengths of Clemson, and I try to say Girard is a good player. He's gonna have to guard.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to guard, and I don't know if he's good enough to guard the athleticism of the New Mexico guards. I just think I can't fade the way New Mexico is playing right now. I understand they won the conference championship, and I understand the logic that it's a good fade, but I also feel like the committee did them a favor by saying they didn't belong in if they didn't win. I think that pisses off New Mexico.
Sean, he's
chip on
like
their
a
shoulder.
politician.
Yeah.
Every chance to get up on that podium and talk about the
Well,
committee.
he has his core,
No new taxes.
He has his core. He has his core tenets. He believes fish and people can coexist together. Here now, Clemson does have this going for it. They're amazing at the free throw line, and I hate that I'm fading them here. And your major conference, if we're counting the Mountain West, those are two things they have going for them. What they don't have going for them is 69th in adjusted or in defensive efficiency. To me, that's the only unit in this game that's outside of KenPom's top 40, almost 70th. And it's Clemson defense not being as good as previous years, I think, is a real thing. New Mexico brings the heat. The heat is in the hat anywhere they go. 8-0 ATS on the neutral court. And coming back to, I think I got this right this time, when the 11 seed is favored, the 6 seed is 1-6 straight up, 1-6 ATS. Book it, Lobos. Mac?
We're going to build a wall around New Mexico. All right? And they're going to get it done.
Oh, you guys know where I'm going. I have been telling everybody in the country the Mountain West is light years better than the ACC. Did you see the game tonight?
Who are you pointing to?
I
Who are you
the
pointing to?
camera.
Oh,
The camera
okay.
right there.
I thought you were pissed
Right
off. I thought we had a Tiger fan out there.
No, fuck the ACC.
There are a couple hundred Tiger fans probably watching this stream.
New Mexico, way better than Clemson. They got guards. They didn't even have one of their guards playing in the conference championship game. Denton had the flu. They got House. They got Mashburn. And I don't know if you noticed, not only Rick Pitino was complaining about New Mexico's seed. It's personal.
Like
New
a
Mexico,
good father to their son.
Blowout.
All right?
Noah?
Blowout.
Yeah, Mac had his moment where he was pointing at the camera. I'm going to have my moment at the camera.
Ooh.
Oh, Beanick.
Don't doubt me on my bracket knowledge. Alabama, number 1 overall seed last year. Houston, number 2 overall. Kansas, number 3. And who was number 4? Purdue was number 4 overall, number 1 seed. A lot of my handicap is what Sean said.
Thank you.
So there has been 11 instances where the 11 seed has been favored over the 6 seed. I grabbed the stat from Jason Lisk of Team Rankings.
He got it from me.
Those 11 seeds are 10-1 straight up against 6 seeds, and 9 have won by double digits. So not only covering, they are smashing this spread. And secondly, a lot of people are fading the Mountain West this year. A lot of the haters are saying that their home environments are so electric that it hurts them in these neutral court settings.
I love that logic. Like Boston College is thriving with their empty-ass crowd.
But
anyway.
they're undefeated straight up this year on neutral courts, and they're one of 3 teams that have that kind of record. Illinois 5-0, undefeated, neutral court. Yukon 6-0. New Mexico's 8-0. Lock up the Lobos. Let's go.
Boston College did beat Providence in the NIT tonight, Colby.
I did, yeah.
I thought you knew ball.
It's true, but I was on Boston College. You caught that video last night we put out.
Oh, yeah.
I did see someone, basically what Noah just said, like, hey, once the Mountain West gets out of their high air and altitude, they're not so tough anymore. And it's like, do you understand? Like, that's the whole reason why, like, marathoners train at high altitude.
We literally have Olympic training centers in Colorado Springs.
you dumb motherfuckers. Yeah, come on. I was never going to fade a Mountain West team against Clemson. We all hate Clemson. That's why we know we're going to get screwed here.
We respect Clemson baseball, though.
Hey, you don't want to get screwed when you're getting game tickets. That's right. You got to go to gametime.co or download the Game Time app. Use the promo code SGPN, $20 off your first order. And you got the Game Time guarantee, which means if you can find a lower ticket in the same row, same section, they'll refund you 110%. They're never going to do that. You know why? Because you can't beat them. If you can't beat them, join them. I joined Game Time. It was a great experience, super easy. Hooked it up. Tickets come right to the phone. You actually get to see the views.
Durant joined the Warriors. Remember that?
Yes.
That's pretty much that's what he's doing with Game Time there. You know what I mean?
Sorry,
I'm saying you can't beat them. Join them. You gotta fucking hop on board.
Join them.
Yeah.
Yes. So you are joining the juggernaut, and they are one of the ticket fastest growing ticket companies. Like for a good reason, Colby. They are putting together a ticket company dynasty, much like the Warriors. 72-8 or whatever the hell they were. 73-9, 72-10. There you go. 82 games. And you can check out all 82 at a great price over at GameTime.co. Promo code SGPN. Kramer.
All right, let's. I'm stretched now, so we're gonna start striding out here. 1:15 on the West Coast, Spokane, depending on which part of the state you're from. From Washington, we're in the West region, which makes a lot more sense to be playing in Spokane. 13-4 matchup here. Yale versus Auburn, which, first real puzzled look I gave at the bracket was, how is Auburn a 4 seed? What are we doing here? Auburn laying 13. They're on my Ken Palm contenders list, Sean. Minus 850 on the money line. Yale plus 575. They should have lost to the Brown Bears. Speaking of Bears, I think these aren't the kind that plays with Russians, though. Yale total 141 and first half under 67. Just from watching a little bit of the Ivy League, it does seem like Yale requires a little bit of dribble movement with the ball, and I got to imagine that's going to be difficult for these Ivy League private school pussies to do against Auburn. I don't care if they're in the jungle or not. In fact, the eastern part of the state of Washington is actually quite dry relative to the western part of the state that has rainforests. Neither parts have tigers, though. Auburn, I'm laying the points. Colby, what are you doing?
No, I'll take the points. Look, getting Bruce Pearl in the NCAA tournament, first off, that's normally a good thing. Also, just the fact that it's in Spokane. Auburn fans don't know. Auburn fans don't know. They think Spokane is in a different country.
Might be true.
And shout out to Frank's.
It's a dip.
It neutralizes that super passionate fan base.
Can I get a tin of wintergreen Spokane?
And Frank's Diner was where we were at with the train car, by the way.
Great
Then no
place.
wonder why they didn't put Tino in Spokane. But no, you look back at
The
Yale.
dining cars are rocking. Don't go a knocking.
You look at what Yale did. They've actually been to Spokane this year. They played Gonzaga there. They lost by 15. They also lost by 15 in Lawrence, Kansas. That's perfect. That's they've been up against top-notch competition. I think this Yale team is better than what people think. I understand they didn't play the greatest game against Brown, but they've been a good team all year, and I think they much like Princeton last year. We saw what Princeton did. They went to the Sweet 16. I think they can stay within this number, and I actually think they might even be able to give some challenges to Auburn that Auburn hasn't seen, because the SEC, for the most part, you're dealing with great athletes and just high-tempo stuff with like Bama and LSU, and everyone runs there with the exception. Yeah, there's an A&M or something there, but I think Yale might be able to give them some challenges they're not used to.
Yeah, for me, I got some conflicting things here because Auburn, nice free throw bump, top 10 in adjusted offense and defense. So if you look at like contenders list, they're right up there in the mix. This trend is a little concerning. Number 4 seeds, when the spread gets this big, they do have trouble covering. When the number 4 is favored by 10 or more points, they're 19-2 straight up, but only 6-14-1 ATS. So the 4 seeds win, but they struggle to get that cover against the 13. But on the other side, Yale, I mean, they haven't looked great in their last 2 NCAA tournament appearances, including a loss to Purdue by 22 points. The free throws is what does it for me ultimately. You think Yale, oh, hey, bunch of nerds who haven't seen the sun in a long time. They're going to be great at hitting free throws. Not so fast, 70.7% at the line compared to the Auburn Tigers, 75.2. That's the deciding factor for me. Give me Auburn laying the big number.
Mac?
I love Auburn. I think Auburn's going to beat Yukon in the Sweet 16, but I love Yale here. I think Yale keeps it close. Auburn gets by just like they did in 2019. They beat New Mexico State. They get the momentum. It's a sleepy spot off the SEC title game. Get by, and they roll the rest of the
You're
tournament.
a real sandbagging son of a bitch for bringing up that New Mexico State game.
Yeah.
Remember, I had a ticket on New Mexico State.
Noah?
They missed 3 free throws.
Isn't this an SGPN March Madness commandment? Why are we fading this? Auburn just coming off the SEC tournament title.
Oh, you're right.
I think Yale can slow this game down tempo-wise, and they have good size, athleticism. They take care of the ball. Bulldogs front court, very good. Danny Wolf, probably going to transfer at the end of the season, so he might be counting his chickens before he hatches, but he's a high major player. And Matt Noling had been battling a little bit of an injury bug throughout the season, but he last year was their best player. Yale was the best team in the Ivy League. They got upset in that championship game against Princeton, and Princeton goes to the Sweet 16 like Colby mentions. I think that Yale Bulldogs front court is going to make or going to keep the Tigers front court from going nuclear here and make the Auburn young guards beat them. Ultimately, I do think that Auburn skates by here, but I think the Bulldogs keep this one close.
It's going to be like watching Sean try to stay in front of one of those kids in that rec league game. A little getting ISO'd out a little too far from the basket. I do want to maybe nominate
My feet were set.
potential greenie Danny Wolf. Maybe can we? I looked at a picture of him. We take his hair off. He looks just like one of those unnamed.
And I'll go ahead and say, like you said, potential he's going to transfer. This is his audition. Auburn, Auburn just buys everybody. Auburn's sitting there saying, what do we got here? This is a great spot for Danny Wolf to be hungry like a wolf, quote Duran Duran. Let's go.
Good luck. It's so rare for me to want to take the lower seed to control the pace of a game. Sorry, Auburn, lay the points. All right, the next game in the rotation, 1:30 on the West Coast, Indy. It's the Colorado Boise State winner versus Florida, so we'll skip that one from now, 10-7 in the South. Then we jump the gap to the afternoon slates, 3:50 p.m. on the West Coast. Memphis, Tennessee. We have a big-time matchup here. The 9 seed out of the South, Texas A&M, and Buzz. All those moments, all those years since I took that picture on the campus of Texas A&M, I plan on posting my picture that I took that weekend. So stay tuned at Kramer Centric. We got Texas A&M, Nebraska, the 8 seed. Nebraska laying a point, -115 on the money line. Texas A&M -105. 147.5 is the total. First half under 69.5. Much has been made about how Texas A&M just dropped the bag for Nebraska's AD, and this is some sort of massive revenge spot, and the committee's in on it because not only are the men playing in the men's tournament, but the women are also playing in the women's tournament somehow. All of that being said, it's not a commandment, but I always say be wary of the team that relies on offensive rebounding exclusively for their offense. I understand that Texas A&M is going to have a twitch advantage in this one, but Nebraska is the classic March Madness team. They got a bunch of sharpshooters. They're going to look fun. They're going to be exciting. It's going to suck if they lose to a grinded-out Buzz Williams team here, but I'm going to lay the points with Nebraska. Colby, what are we doing? That's 2 Big Ten teams for the record. Colby, what are we? And I'm fading my guy Buzz so he can get fired and come back home. Colby, what are we doing?
No, I'm all over A&M here. I think Nebraska. Yeah, the Big Ten's been ass all year. Nebraska's been getting by. Look, it's been a fun story. I like to see Nebraska get
Colby,
good.
what's the name of the Japanese kid who's really good at shooting?
Casey Tominaga.
Thanks, Colby.
Linsanity.
Yeah, Linsanity 2.0, but I love this matchup for A&M. Like I said, I don't think the Big Ten was very good. I think they're living by off their rep and their rep from 30 years ago. But no, A&M is playing at a higher level to end the season. I think they're more physical.
I don't know about that. I mean, this Nebraska team
beat Kentucky twice. To me, like Nebraska hasn't touched anything like that. I know they got Purdue, but Purdue.
I mean, they
Purdue
should have beat Illinois. They were up big against Illinois. They slowly let that fade away. But I think they're fired up. I think this Nebraska team is a decent, well-rounded team. Pretty good at the free throw line.
They're a finesse team, though, man. And to me, like that's a great way to take Buzz. The Buzzsaw is like, I think he looks for like, oh, we get a finesse team. We're gonna fuck you up, man. They're gonna get. I know. You know, like it's the SEC and Big Ten, and A&M had their struggles against certain teams. I just think it's a bad matchup for Nebraska. I think A&M will bring them in the muck. I think their physicality, the way they play defense, and the fact. How about this? To me, the big thing that stands about A&M is they're a veteran team. They've been together for a while. I'm going to take A&M to get it done.
I like this Nebraska team. I'm on them again. Almost a full 5 percentage points better at the free throw line. You have to be able to hit some shots in March, and I just don't think this Texas A&M offense can do it. I think that conference tournament. You know, yeah, they beat Kentucky. That was huge, but. I'm still not a huge believer in this Texas A&M team. I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt. I think that was a pretty bad loss. Like they've lost to some bad teams. So I'm on Nebraska here. I think they take care of business.
No,
I think this is my strongest disagreement against Colby so far in this tournament. Flashback to last year, Texas A&M had a big look-ahead spot to the second round possible matchup against Texas. This year they could possibly play Houston, right? So
that's not comparable.
Last year, a Big Ten finesse team in Penn State rained a ton of threes against Texas A&M, and they win it outright. Correct, Sean? So Nebraska, they have attempted the 34th most three-pointers per field goal attempt this season. They shoot it well, too, 35.8% from the field. Also, according to Torvik, since February 1st, this team is not a finesse team. Nebraska has the third best defensive efficiency in the country. I think they get this thing done, and they give Houston all they can handle in the second round, possibly win that game. It is Tominaga time. He is this year's Marquise Noel.
I got to go feed my Tamagotchi.
Let me tell you something here. Texas A&M fans don't give a shit about Houston.
We already know.
They give a shit about Texas. There's a huge difference.
Mac?
It was a good run, Linsanity, Tominaga. Texas A&M, the athletes, they remember last year. Veteran group, like Colby said, Buzz rolls here. They're gonna open this up in the second half. Athletes all day. SEC over.
What
Sorry,
am I doing?
Big Ten.
Play the music.
Yeah.
He started at Virginia Tech. He now plays for Texas A&M. Boots Radford. They don't run offense. Who gives a shit?
You should wear a vest.
I'm wearing a Hokie shirt right now. I'm fully committed. Like I said, I'm going to reveal at least one picture from my private collection when I had some very special moments with a picture of Buzz Williams outside of the arena. Next up, we're heading over to the Vermont Duke game. 13-4 matchup in the South. Brooklyn, New York feels like a little bit of an advantage for Duke, even though Vermont's only a couple miles away. 410 on the West Coast. Duke -12, -850 on the money line. Vermont +575. 132.5 is the total. 62.5 first half under. So this Vermont team is different. Why? It's the worst offense they've had in 12 years, and it's the best defense they have in 12 years. That's kind of the starting point for this one because, as Colby mentioned earlier, it does kind of feel like Duke got a little bit of a soft matchup
they gave
here.
him a pass, man.
And our guy, Filipowski, could have a monster game here against the interior of Vermont, which in some ways almost makes their demise even more enjoyable. If he has some sort of bonkers games, unless someone talks me out of it here, it does seem like, and you know, we saw this Vermont team like not cover in game after game in the AE tournament. So not much for me to add to that, other than I think I'm going to like Duke unless Team Ryan talks me off of it. Colby, what about you?
Nah, man, you got like this is a great. They're doing favors to Duke.
All right, so
read between the lines, like I mean, and I would even argue that I don't even know that their defense is that much better. It's just the rest of the conference is that much down. So you're getting UMBC when they're trash. You're getting NJIT when they're trash.
Maybe a little bit more athleticism this year.
Yeah, I mean, who?
Vermont. Which helps on defense.
Yeah,
all right, so
I think it's just a bad matchup. I think if you're a Vermont fan, you wanted one of those Big Ten schools, and you didn't get that. And you got a Duke team that, even though young, they're super athletic, and I think it's a bad draw.
Vermont, you would think, would be great behind the arc. Like, a bunch of white kids in up in New England, all they do is gym rats shooting the three. They're only 33.5% from behind the arc. Duke, you mentioned Vermont's defense being better than average. What about Duke? I mean, Duke's defense, 26 in adjusted defensive efficiency, 7th in offensive efficiency. They're right up there with a potential title contender. So Duke wins, and they roll. Mac, what do you got?
I got Vermont. I think everybody has fallen in love with Vermont the last couple of years, and they get a bad rap. They can't get it done, but you look at it. They lost to Florida State by 7. They lost to Arkansas by 4. I also think this Duke team is way fucking overrated.
Lost to Virginia Tech by 22.
That was this year.
Well, no, I'm talking about in the tournament. In the tournament, under Beckner, they have hung in these games. I think they keep it close. I don't know if they win. But if it gets close, Flopkowski, he might just flop around.
You're letting your hate blind
the old ankle might just start fucking twitching.
It gets loose.
Noah?
It changes. He notices a change in weather. If it's going to be really humid up there, he'll feel that in his knee.
I can't trust
Sorry, hold on. Someone, Jake, we need a Photoshop of Filipowski with one of those like barn wind direction devices on his head. That would be pretty funny. Noah, what are you doing in this game?
I'm taking Duke here. Vermont they're not as good as they've been in years past. The AE was not as good as it's been in years past. I didn't really think that Vermont saw many challenges. Duke loses 2 straight entering the NCAA tournament. This is, I think, a get up spot. They prove a point. They win this game. They get murdered by Houston in the second weekend, and life is all good after that.
Perfect. Let's go. That red versus blue too. Wow. Very toxic right now. Grambling, Montana State winner will be taking on Purdue in the 4:25 p.m. Window out of Indy, so Purdue should have the crowd there. Montana State I know is a huge program, but Purdue should have the crowd. 4:35 on the West Coast. We're going back to Spokane, Washington, where Alabama, 4 seed in the West, takes on College of Charleston, the 13 seed out of the West. Alabama laying only 9.5 here, -485 on the money line. Charleston +370, 173.5 is the total. Under first half, 82.5. This is one of I mentioned it a couple of games, but there's a lot of pace battles in this year's first round. This is not one of them. Stylistically, this is not one of them. I feel like you should have included Alabama in that category of the committee. Maybe gave them a softer matchup. While this game's going to have a ton of variance, it does seem like Alabama is just a much better version of Charleston.
I don't know about that. I like Charleston.
I disagree too.
Charleston coming in hot. They've won 12 in a row, and Alabama on a neutral court, 1-5 ATS this season. I already threw out that trend about when the 4 seeds, when they're laying more than 10, it can be trouble for the 4 seed. And I would counter. I would say Charleston's comfortable playing fast, and this Alabama defense is a real liability. Alabama's already, I think, licking their chops. These big time, these guys are getting paid a ton of money. They don't think they have to worry about the first game in the tournament. They're going to be looking past this Charleston team, and I think that is not a good idea. I think Charleston covers and might be a live dog. Colby?
No. I've been a skeptic on Alabama all year. The committee gave them an amazing path. They've never gone past the Sweet 16, and that includes when they had Sprewell and McDyess, right? They never have been there. But I see a path, and I'm a skeptic. I think that offense is bullshit in the tournament. But when you get placed where they're placed against the opponents they're placed against, I think you might even want to jump in on a Bama future because there's not a lot of meat on the bone. And to me, Charleston's been phony all year to me. If you watch the games, they are not last year's Charleston. And when you look at Alabama and the way that they could score, look what they did against Morehead State. They beat Morehead State by what, 30? 32. They beat Indiana State by 22.
High variance, right?
Right. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, what? All right. They destroyed these great mid majors. Eastern Kentucky was a 1 seed. They beat them by 45 points.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They play the same style, and they're a much better version. Or at least they're equipped with better athletes.
Well, and if it was last year's Charleston team, maybe I'd buy in a little bit more. If you watch Charleston throughout the year. Shout out to Pat Kelsey for getting him there. I thought it was a great coaching job. Better than what he did the year before. I don't think they're that good. And I think they're just going to get destroyed here.
Mac?
Yeah, no, I'm laying it with the Tide. They haven't made shots in the last couple of weeks, and they're going to get plenty here. I think they make their shots here. Weird having 3 Alabama teams playing in Spokane. Bama, Auburn, and UAB.
Some carpooling.
What's going on here?
It's got to be an angle on them hiring a Washington head coach.
Get your Southwest reward points. Let's
dropping
go.
some bags out there. All right, Noah, what are you doing?
For what it's worth, the cocktail napkin loves this game. It only has Charleston as a 5.5-point dog here. Alabama is in poor form. 2-4 in the last 6 games straight up.
Poor form, isn't that?
Their opponents are scoring 96.8 points per game in that span.
You're like a 1940s teacher. Poor form.
Speaking of teachers, Nate Oates, he's now fat and happy after being a high school teacher in Michigan after his extension. That's made him the top 5 highest paid coaches in college basketball. What has he done? Colby has mentioned that he hasn't even gotten to past the Sweet 16 yet. Fat and happy. However, I think Charleston's head man, Pat Kelsey, he's the next best big thing here. The Cougars, they're going to make this a track meet. They're going to allow Alabama to run. Charleston truly does want to run. The CAA, 3rd slowest tempo by conference in the country. And I think they're going to thrive in the fast-paced game here. Last year, Charleston was a dog with fleas. This year, they are the dog begging to be rescued at the animal shelter.
Love it.
Don't worry, College of Charleston. I'll make you mine, and I'll love you to the fullest.
Speaking of dogs,
weren't you on Charleston last year?
No,
I was on San Diego State.
Charleston had the guy that stole his prom date.
It was my number 1 lock. I wrote it up on sportsgamblingpodcast.com. San Diego State covered that.
Now he's on Charleston. He's back.
Ryan Larson fouled with 1 second to go. We got it to the free throw line. They covered.
Speaking of dogs, if you guys signed up over at Underdog Fantasy, use that promo code SGPN. Get a 100% deposit match up to $100. I mean, they got pickups for everything, NBA, NHL, and, of course, college basketball. Add a little spice to your life with a nice Underdog pick-em. It pairs perfectly with a nice bracket, some college basketball wagering. Underdog Fantasy is the place to go for daily fantasy entries. Use that promo code SGPN. Get the 100% deposit match. Get you covered over there. And, of course, if you haven't started your pool yet, what are you waiting for? Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. Set up your pool there. You get a free entry, or you just get a free entry as well. But why not run your pool through Champs? It is highly recommended that you do that, and it helps support the Sports Gambling Podcast, and you get 2 free shots at $1,000. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. Ryan, a lot of people have Houston claiming they're going to be the champs this season.
Sorry, I'm choking a little bit on some water.
While he's choking, I have an Underdog pick 'em here that we can give out. 9 straight games. Josh Oduro has finished with less than 39.5 fantasy points. This is an NIT game. You guys might be asking, why NIT? Okay, I'll take you to the NCAA tournament game. Danny Wolf, forward for Yale. I'll go with his higher than 20.5 points in rebounds. He's averaging 23.1 points, rebounds per game this season. He's playing against Auburn. I feel like we're getting a little bit of a discount on a mid-major going up against a high major with really good momentum right now. Give me Wolf. Higher than 20.5 points in rebounds.
This Danny Wolf guy.
I called him a greenie earlier. I don't think you want to take the over. Good luck. 16 seed out of the South.
Higher, Ryan. Underdog fantasy.
Lower, sorry. 16. I was actually talking about not underdog, but 16 seed out of the South. Longwood taking out the 1 seed out of the South. Houston.
Cox.
We're in Memphis, Tennessee, which is not that far from Longwood. 6:20 p.m. on the West Coast. Houston laying 24.5, minus 5,000 on the money line. Longwood plus 1,800. 128 is the total. First half under 61. Houston's good. That's the big note I have on this one. They're also in my contender list. I don't know. This Longwood wasn't good in the Big South. They turn over the ball a lot. This seems like a bad matchup for Houston. It seems like Houston could really make them want to quit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love this Longwood team, but they celebrated when they won that conference tournament. That was, dude, they had a magical run.
Yeah,
I mean, the 2-point win against High Point, the overtime win against High Point again in the tournament.
My thing is, I'm not going to lay 24.5 points with a team that's sub 70% from the line. Now, maybe it won't matter because they'll just be dunking on these guys.
Yep.
But Longwood is 157th overall on KenPom. And as we all know, when the 1 seed is favored by more than 20 points, the 16 seed is actually 14-5 ATS if they're within 200 of KenPom. Not only are they within 200, they're 157. So I think there's a decent amount of advanced metrics. And again, don't lay 24.5 points with a team that can't get 70% from the line. So I'm actually taking Longwood plus 24.5. I probably won't be betting this because I don't think they're a live dog. And, you know, taking 24.5 points is white knuckling it, but I'm still going to pick them here at 24.5. That's crazy.
White Tiger is better than White Knuckle. Right,
Noah?
I'm just going to let you know.
White Knuckle's one of the reserves on Longwood.
Shout out Ike Belton. He's a passionate listener of the college basketball experience. He's a Longwood basketball alum. I received this in my DMs today. He quoted this from College Sports Only on Instagram. In every tournament since COVID, since 2021, a top 2 seed has lost in the first round outright to a team with a phallic, euphemistic dick name, basically, is what we're talking about. In 2021, Oral Roberts defeated Ohio State. In 2022, St. Peter's defeated Kentucky. In 2023, Fairleigh Dickinson defeated Purdue.
And you do have the pulse on cock.
Yeah.
That's
No,
3
Dick,
years in
Dick.
a row.
Yeah, Dick, my bad.
And it quotes, once is a happenstance, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. In 2024, Houston will face Longwood. Dude,
I want a dick rubbed on me tonight.
Ryan, let Noah do his angle here.
I love your input, Ike. I can't take them on the money line. However, they're going to cover this game. The quote is, they will fall victim to this trend.
I like
lastly, that. Ike says, just thought I would throw this in here so you can mention it on the pod. Go Lancers. So shout out to our guy, Ike.
Mac.
Kelvin Sampson's going to lay the long wood right on the table. Houston by fucking 40. This is leg 7 of the Big 12 parlay.
Sean failed to mention the fact that while Houston not good at the line, they are still better than Longwood.
Yeah.
Houston leads.
I buried that nugget.
For what it's worth, I think Morehead State is this year's dick name or whatever.
Come
that
on.
wins
It's great
outright.
news for Morehead.
Houston leads the country with 10-point or more, 10-0 runs or more, with 38. They average more than one of those a game. I have a feeling we're going to see at least one 10-0 run in this one. I'm laying the Longwood as Mac lay. That was
kill shot.
That was both great job by Noah and Mac on that one. All right, next up we got JMU, the private schools of Virginia, who some say are taking over the state from a sports perspective. They're trying to buy it, the private school pussy. 6:40 on the West Coast, but we're up in New York, where Wisconsin, the 5 seed, in a nice 5-12 matchup here in the South, Wisconsin laying 5, minus 225 on the money line, plus 185 for the JMU Dukes. 145 is the total. First half under 68.5. Colby's going to scream at the clouds at how good JMU was. They won all these games. Blah 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 blah. I'm back on a positive Big Ten angle here because, again, I was looking at some style stuff. You know, I like the style makes a fight angle. And it seems like Wisconsin plays some similar style of defense as Appalachian State. And then I look and I see, holy crap, JMU only lost 3 games all year, but 2 of them were to App State. So I'm going to start my position on Wisconsin here, and I'll let one of you guys talk me off of it. Colby?
No, I do think this is a trendy play, but
JMU is the trendy play.
Yeah, I do think a lot of people like JMU here, but I still go back to Staples or Staples.
Really? Okay.
And I think JMU, we saw it. They won in Michigan at Michigan State. They have the more talented team, and I think that's going to be the like. I also think they've been disrespected. To go 31-3, to be a 12 seed, is one of the worst things I've ever seen. When you especially when you have Michigan State as a 9. That is unbelievable to me.
Ken Palm, 58 best team. So.
I mean, I'm fading Wisconsin here. I'm with Colby. I think JMU just kind of a more cohesive team, and you can rely on JMU a lot more than this Wisconsin team. I mean, the Wisconsin team started out great, completely fell apart in the middle of the season. JMU shows up in close games, 8-2, and they actually, you would think against a Big Ten team, they're going to be out physical, but I actually think they can bring the physicality to this matchup. Wisconsin was 3-8 last 11 games in conference play. And, you know, last but not least, I mean, you look at this Wisconsin team. They let Rutgers put up 78 fucking points. I mean, if that isn't a red flag, I don't know what is. And that wasn't that long ago. That was in the middle of February. So I think this Wisconsin team got hot, quote unquote, in the Big Ten tourney, still lost to Illinois by 6, beat a Purdue team, which we all think is fraudulent, beat Maryland, who sucks, and had a nice win over Northwestern. Like, I just don't think that they're that good, and I think they're going to disappoint their fans. So, yeah, give me JMU.
Oh, this is a public dog. Come on. I mean, everybody loves JMU. Half the people that are talking about JMU haven't even fucking watched JMU. JMU's good. I've seen JMU in person. Radford had them beat at the buzzer. JMU, too. They don't like physicality. They're a talented team. Yes, veteran. But Wisconsin's found themselves. They found themselves in the Big Ten tournament, scoring the ball more. And I like Wisconsin to roll here.
Wait, are you saying the Big Ten's better than the Sun Belt? Because I would argue that.
No, but I would say this is a good spot for Wisconsin. Because everybody's disrespecting Wisconsin.
So Wisconsin, I'm with Sean. They got super hot in the Big Ten tournament. They were draining threes left and right when they really haven't been an effective three-point shooting team all season long. That won them a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament. Their confidence is at an all-time high. You know what? James Madison, they have the second best three-point defense in the country. Also, offensively, Wisconsin, 345th opponent for three-point percentage, 37.1%. James Madison's 40th in the country. I think James Madison wins this game. Not only have they beaten Michigan State on the road, I view Wisconsin as pretty similar to Michigan State with the Staples and just defensive-minded group. James Madison wins this game outright.
You love those public dogs.
Hold on. I'm gonna, so, again, Max safely on the boat with me.
Yeah.
But because I know no one, Colby, goes so deep. So deep.
I didn't take me
so deep. But then they're talking about this win against Michigan State, where Michigan State
went
1 for 20 behind the line and 23 of 37 at the free throw line. They had a post-game expected win margin of 15 in that game. Nice try. Give me the Staples.
That was in East Lansing.
Give me the
Staples. A neutral site game.
Give me the Staples.
Wisconsin fans will be constipated.
The three-point defense, it's not a fluke. They went 1 for 20 because they're the second best three-point defense. Terrence Shannon
Damn.
went off on Wisconsin
Body
in
bag
the
by Noah.
championship game. If there's one guy that resembles Terrence Shannon, it's Terrence Edwards for
I'm
James
just pointing
Madison
out
here.
that they're both citing this as a reason why JMU is going to be good in a game in March.
Seems like someone's jealous that Virginia Tech's
TCU.
lost her.
No, I'm not because
We're gonna be
you know
what?
I'm going to be standing and applauding the Duke fans. I'm sure there won't be any in Vegas because they're all pussies, but I will be applauding the ones as they exit after losing to the staples of Wisconsin. By the way,
we'll be watching this game while we're doing the VEASAN show, right?
what nice swing line is also red, so that's a sign. 9-8 matchup here in Indy. 6:55 on the West Coast. TCU, Utah State. We got a Big 12 Mountain West matchup. Danny Sprinkle and the boys catching 4 points as the 8th seed in the Midwest. 155 on the money line. TCU minus 185. 150.5 is the total. First half under 71. This is a very, very troubling spot for me because I had TCU written down as we're going to bet TCU in March. Did this long time ago. And then I was looking at the spread. I'm like, well, wait a second. This is an absolutely great matchup for Osabar inside on Utah State.
I like what you did there.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
I strapped up my fucking tank.
Oh, yeah.
And I dove right in.
Oh, yeah.
I went feet first, though, so I got a little one of those saltwater enemas they tell you to watch out for. I think I'm going to be on Utah State here, even though they screwed me last year. Colby?
Oh, man. Danny Sprinkle's done so good, but he got robbed here. This is another one of this is completely disrespectful. They should not be playing TCU in the first round.
Hell no.
But they are.
It's just, once again, if I was, anyone with the Mountain West, I'd take a I'd go to Indianapolis and take a blowtorch to that fucking building. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad matchup. TCU has better athleticism, better experience, better guard play. It's not going to end well. I'll take the Frogs minus the points.
The Hypnotoads got you hypnotized, Colby. No way. Danny Sprinkle, get the donuts ready. I'll tell you why. First off, I'm on this website, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I clicked on this March Madness betting commandments, and underneath I see, thou shalt not worship false idols. Colby is bringing all these gifts and presents to this golden calf known as Jamie Dixon, who is 9-17 ATS. I say tear down that golden calf. We worship one God,
Whoa.
the
Danny
God
Sprinkle,
of the Mountain West.
I think is 0-2 ATS in the NCAA.
Okay, Montana
small
State, please.
Small sample size.
Saying 0-2
Please.
is 0-2.
So
Still
now-
haven't won.
Come on. Well, if he's 1-2, he's going to be better than Jamie Dixon, or at least similar.
Mac?
Oh man, TCU's gonna roll them. This is a horrible matchup for Utah State.
Utah State defends the 3 well.
They overachieved. Great year, but at the same time, you get all these transfers. They overachieve. TCU, they're 24, 25-year-old men, and they've been really good in the tournament recently. I mean, they beat Seton Hall 2 years ago in the first round by 30. They should have beat Arizona. They should have beat Gonzaga last year. They're going to roll Utah State. I love Utah State.
Utah State doesn't have Logan to lean back on.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
No?
TCU rolls.
Yeah, I haven't really been snippy about the NCAA tournament committee's seedings. However, right here, right now, I'm going to be Utah State won the regular season in the Mountain West. Best Mountain West we've ever seen. 8 seeds disrespectful, and you know what? You just get a tough matchup when that happens. TCU with Jamie Dixon with TCU, I think the against spread numbers in the NCAA tournament has been a little bit better. Personally, I was on the wrong end of possibly the worst bad beat I've ever experienced last year when TCU rolls the ball down the court with 1.3 seconds left against Gonzaga, and they drain the fucking 3. So you can't tell me that Dixon doesn't know the number, that he doesn't care. TCU covers. They win this game outright against Utah.
Hey, real quick, Jamie Dixon's stats, where was he at before TCU? So, like, he's been pretty good at TCU. Okay, that's why his
His ACC problems?
suck ass.
I like that. He left his problems in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, eat shit pitch.
It's a parallel to Noah there. Who knew that Jamie Dixon and Noah had something in common?
Who knew that Mac would be on another Big 12 team?
Yeah.
That's 7 in a row, 8 in a row.
Utah State, 3rd in the nation.
They're
at
still
defending
Mountain
the
West
3.
to me.
Yeah.
TCU's still Mountain West.
Oh, so Mountain West, not Mountain West. Yeah, I think I'll bet on. I'll take Great Osabar. They cover the number. They lose the game. They cover the number. See what I did there, Sean? I gave myself 2 outs. 12 seed. Last one. 12-5. 12-5 matchup.
I'll support whoever's in government.
In the West, yeah, just tell me where to walk. Spokane, Washington, 7:05 p.m. on the West Coast. Grand Canyon, St. Mary's. St. Mary's lane 5.5, minus 230 on the money line, plus 190 for Grand Canyon. 131.5 is the total. First half under 61. Very, very cool to see that we've had one of these chiropractor school elevate themselves to Division I basketball, have a whole crowd. I think it's an online university. Who knows? They were a sexy pick by the bet detective himself, C.J. Sullivan, earlier in the season. They were written right under TCU in terms of we're going to bet this team in March. Now that we're here, going against a team like St. Mary's, who is always a tough matchup, my worry there is St. Mary's kind of had the season this year, but they got Gonzaga and the champions. There's all these positive things. Anyway, Colby, what are we doing here? Because this one has me a little bit torn.
Yeah, and I know I'm just so glad my Uber driver didn't say Grand Canyon because this one was, I thought, one of the harder ones to pick for me. I do believe in Randy Bennett. He's familiar with Spokane, Washington. The team is too. But I do think they've had their issues outside of the WCC. Was it Missouri State that got them? They also lost, I think, the UNLV, they might have beat UNLV, but it was double overtime, if memory serves me correct. They've had their issues in the mid-major ranks. Weber got them. Yeah, Weber got them. I do think Grand Canyon is actually the more athletic team, and I think that can actually cause some problems there. But I'm going to take the points. I get the angle that St. Mary's could go deep because I do think the winner of this is going to have a nice. I mean, this is why I'm kind of bullish on Alabama, which I never thought I would be in March. That side of the bracket is open.
All
so
right. So Grand Canyon's live or no?
I do. I think they're live. I think they're live. They're the more athletic team, and I think they just have a couple difference makers in the fact that St. Mary's is great, I feel like, in the WCC when you know your opponent.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon they haven't had experience with. I think that they can cause a couple problems for them that maybe they don't see traditionally in the WCC. Fascinated by this game, though.
Grand Canyon, I think defense is pretty underrated. I mean, I know St. Mary's has the better defense, but I think Grand Canyon's defense is underrated. I mean, you look at 9th in the nation at defending the 2, 10th in the nation effective field goal defense. But really, come on. If it's close, if you're on the fence, hemming and hawing over there, Colby, let me help you. One team is 7.9% better at the line. That team is Grand Canyon. Get your camera ready. Break out the skywalk, folks. Grand Canyon, get you one of those painted dream catchers from a Native American roadside stand because Grand Canyon is going on a roll here. St. Mary's, the goal of the entire season for St. Mary's is be better than Gonzaga. They did it. Their season's over. They lose.
I'm with you. Give me at Grand Canyon. Give me some of those energy rocks. Let's go.
Mac?
I'm on the Gales. I think every year they're in the 5-12 game and everybody goes, they're going to get upset. Nope. They just keep on winning. They beat VCU last year. They beat Indiana by about 100. They just win. Randy Bennett, they're not sexy. I know that. They're unathletic. But Aiden Matheny, I mean, Mahaney, they get shit done. They're going to move on. I think they win by 7 or 8. Give me the Gales.
No.
Colby references his Uber driver. I'm going to reference my sister. I think she knows how to handicap college basketball. However, she doesn't know how chaotic March Madness can get. She predicted four total first round upsets. Grand Canyon was one. Not only did she predict them to win in the first round, she predicted the Antelopes to go all the way to the Final Four. She quoted, the analytics showed shooting percentage, efficiency rating, winning percentage, and free throw percentage.
Does she subscribe to the Bottom Line Bob?
Well,
as her 4 references for handicapping this game and why she took Grand Canyon to win against St. Mary's. Instant reaction pod, I had St. Mary's in my Final Four, so this is a really big sibling duel-off. I'm going to take the Gales with Mac.
I didn't know I was going to learn so much about Noah's family. Hopefully we can get a report on your vacation next. I am on Grand Canyon.
Caddyshack was a great restaurant.
I think so, yeah, fuck it, let's dance. So I specifically, again, watching all the tape here, I'm like, they're too busy scuba diving. I do think that
I got the Benz.
I do think that Grand Canyon could give St. Mary's defense a little bit of trouble with some of the stuff they do. So We're taking the points for those who keep track. I have taken a number of dogs tonight. So
hey,
nice
shout
job,
out
Sean.
to Hall of Fame Bets, a sponsor of our locks and our dogs and a team parlay. Head over to HOFBets.com. If you're talking parlays, optimize those parlays. NBA soccer and college basketball will be live for the tournament. So get signed up now so you don't miss out. HOFBets.com. Promo code SGPN, 50% off your first month. Download that Hall of Fame Bets app. Like we said, producer Josh on a heater with some of these NBA player props, all courtesy of the good folks over at HOFBets.com. Kramer, what do you got?
Lock, New Mexico. Lock, Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow. So you're taking Grand Canyon the points for your lock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lock. Ooh. I had to pause for a second. Lock, Wisconsin.
Ooh, that one's not good.
Dog. Give me the little baby dog. No, you know what? Let's go bigger dog. Give me the Toppers, Western Kentucky.
Oh, man. I love that. I love that
Plus,
dog.
Shock has never failed us before.
I almost want to take that as my dog as well.
Do it.
Let's start off with Colgate sucking. Baylor minus 14. They're just going to fuck them up. Cannot wait. You guys are all wrong about one team, Nebraska. Time to feed our Tomanakis. Let's go. Nebraska laying the point. And for my last lock here. Oh, man, this is tough because there's a bunch of stuff I like, some of which Kramer already gave out. Do I co-sign it? Don't really want to fade San Diego State. New Mexico against Clemson? Yeah, you kind of almost have to lock that one up. I do like Utah State. Yeah, I'll go University of New Mexico, laying the 2 for my dog. I'm going Grand Canyon on the money line. Let's go. Colby?
Locking up Alabama, minus the points. Locking up Duke, minus the points. Locking up Baylor, minus the points.
Do you want me to get you a Dallas Cowboys starter jacket, Colby?
The dog is UAB. I'm sorry, San Diego State.
Oh, wow.
It all comes crashing down.
The heat is in the hat.
The heat is in the hat. Matt, give us one lock and one dog.
On Wisconsin. Let's go.
He threw up the W. Let's go.
On Wisconsin. And for my dog, plus 575. Kentucky goes down Thursday night. Duke goes down Friday night.
Wow.
Vermont outright. Let's fucking go.
Crazy.
I like it. I hope it happens. Noah?
Lock New Mexico against the spread. Viral tweet. Got to back it. Lock Nebraska against the spread. Dog, I'm taking Charleston. Money line against Alabama.
Oh, you know what? I like that one as well. Do I switch to Charleston?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll stay with Grand Canyon. But I like Noah's Charleston play. Do we give out official parlay? We all like Grand Canyon.
Yes.
We all like New Mexico. We all like West. I think we just do Grand Canyon, Western Kentucky. Call it a night.
Yeah.
One last thing. Brent's favorite play, New Mexico.
All right.
Lock it up.
I'm going to go put $1,000 on that right now. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will reveal our brackets on tomorrow's episode. Make sure you smash that subscribe button to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Basketball Experience. Give us a follow, tweet, share, rate, review. Enter the contest, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Madness. What do I got to do to give away $1,000 to you subscribers? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Let's get some cash.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, a Stack of the Money Green. He's Ryan.
Shout out to Logan. All first half unders. What the fuck is a Wahoo? March Madness is here.
Kramer, let it ride.